Let's get a sense of how the festive season has been and whether or not it's actually added to the numbers other than just the cheer. We've got a sense of where the consumption pulse is currently in the country lined up for you. So let me welcome on board Akash Agarwal, the whole-time director at V2 Retail, and we also have with us K. Ramakrishnan, the MD South Asia World Palin Division at Kantar, joining in on the show right now. Gentlemen, both of you, thanks so much for taking the time out and speaking with us today. Akash, let me come to you first. What's been, your ear on the ground telling you? How has the festive season been? Because we got a good long 2 months, capturing the festive period.
Yeah, so hi, thanks for having me. So October was a milestone month for us. So we did the ever highest sale in the month of October in the history of the company. And a lot of our stores broke their ever highest single day sale record. So the momentum from the first 2 quarters have carried on, and we have been meeting expectations. And the only downside is the late arrival of winter, because winter constitutes a big part of the sale in the third quarter. But they're saying it's going to be a very strong winter this year. So hopefully we see the temperatures drop in the near future. But otherwise, the whole festival season, we've seen a lot of footfalls increase as well as a rise in our average bill value. So that tells us that, consumers are spending more. So it has been a very good traction in the past couple of months.
Akash, so in terms of a quantifiable number, can you quantify for us that what the number is, where the uptick has been? Has apparel and fashion, which in a sense has been a slow category for your company over the last couple of quarters, has that made a comeback?
So about 94% of what we sell is apparels. And within apparels, women's wear was the highest growth driver for us, followed by menswear and then kids wear. And if you talk about numbers, I would say, we got a high teen SSSG, and we are on track to achieve our guidance and target of about 40% revenue growth in the third quarter as well.
Mr. Ramakrishnan, what is your read of how the festival season has been? Better, slow, or in line with what everybody was anticipating?
Yeah, so I speak from the perspective of FMCG and CPG in general. If you analyze the past few years, actually the festive season has done nothing specific to the FMCG as a whole. There are parts of FMCG which tend to take a little bit of a high during festive season. For example, chocolates tend to have a seasonal high. To some extent, edible oils. But if you leave that out, FMCG tends to be more or less flattish. I mean, it doesn't see a spike at all during festive season. And this year has been no different in that sense. Having said that, this year also has been a year when there's been a little bit of urban stress. Rural was behind last year, but to some extent it's been coming up in the first few quarters, and we're seeing some green shoots, and the green shoots are really becoming real. But urban is still under stress. So as a combination of these two, from the FMCG perspective, the festive season has not seen anything significantly upticking.
Why is that? One would imagine that by now the base effect should have kicked in, the inflation should have started stabilizing. When it started raining, we all started assuming that okay, after 3 years it's good monsoon and it will start reflecting when the festival season kicks in. FMCG is a low ticket item, and you would imagine that it should resonate very well at a time when we're talking about demand and recovery coming back.
Exactly the point that I'm making. Festive season makes no big difference to FMCG. If you see what are the spends that maximize during the festive season, like the other speaker said, apparel definitely, perhaps consumer durables, to some extent auto because of the heavy push in terms of offers and things like that has seen an uptick. But FMCG makes no difference other than a few categories like I mentioned. Gifting categories focused on, let's say, chocolates and things like that definitely do see a high. Edible oils do see a high. But that is kind of nullified by some of the other categories. So FMCG in general does not see a high. Talking about the slightly longer term perspective, which you were referring to, which is monsoons and things like that, which is why I said rural is definitely seeing some amount of green shoots. And that typically is because of 3 or 4 reasons. One is monsoon, like you rightly said, we've had a decent monsoon. Second is the support price, which is good at the moment. Third is the non-farm employment or non-farm income, which has also been, thanks to some amount of government support, has been pretty good. And the fourth is the harvest. Now, all of these factors are positive, which makes us believe that rural will make a comeback, which is what is the hope for many of the FMCG players, especially given the fact that there is a little bit of stress as far as urban is concerned.
Right. Akash, morning. Wanted to get in your perspective as well. And if you'd like to carry on to that chain of thought that Mr. Ramakrishnan was talking about, the fact that we are seeing that rural pickup as well, is that something that you're noticing too?
So here we need to talk about two perspectives. So what we are getting from the ground level is the overall footfalls in the market haven't increased as much, but our performance is more attributed to the fact that we're taking away more market share from the unorganized sector as well as our competitors. So I would put this good festive performance more towards the work that we put in to our business model and the strengthening of our product assortment rather than a whole market scenario, because we also get a feeler from the store managers and the ground level staff that there is still slightly a rural and urban pressure both, but rural has started seeing a recovery, I would say, in the past 4 months or so. But we will find out more during the festive season, because the wedding season, so because that's the biggest sale driver for us coming forward. So we should find out in the next couple of months exactly how much the whole rural sector has recovered.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Ramakrishnan, what's your outlook in terms of which are some of the interesting categories that are poised to grow in the coming quarters, and what do you believe will be the key growth drivers apart from rural, of course?
Yeah. So firstly, I think in spite of the fact that there is an urban sluggishness and there are rural green shoots beginning to show up, the premium end of the FMCG market is definitely cheerful in the sense that the growth is quite positive, and I think that positivity will continue. And if you divide FMCG into, let's say, home care, personal care, and foods, clearly there is one is seeing stronger growth in personal care for sure across categories. We are seeing that growth, and in home care, definitely in the laundry stroke detergent space, there is some amount of growth. So those are areas which are seeing growths. From a foods perspective, the phenomenal growth that snacks had for the last few years post-COVID, that is kind of flattening a little bit. And that pressure is being seen even in categories like noodles, etc. At the same time, categories like edible oils, categories like chocolates are seeing growths which are not unsurpassed growth, which are not unparalleled, etc. But they are seeing some levels of growth. So if you want to see what you have to watch for, definitely personal care is something to watch for. And within foods, snacking, how the trajectory is post this little bit of a slowdown is something that we need to watch.
Don't we all love a bit of a snack every now and then? And just to wind it up, Akash, given that sectors across the consumption sphere are banking on the wedding season in the next few months as well, what is it that you're penciling in by way of growth? What is going to be some of the key growth drivers, and what are you watching out for by way of individual categories?
So yes, third quarter historically has been the biggest quarter for us in terms of revenue and profitability as well. That is why it is a quarter where we have to remain very focused and plan way in advance. So one of the biggest changes that we made is the kind of offers that we're giving to the customer, and a lot more spend on digital marketing. Because now, because of internet penetration, even in tier T3, tier 4 and the rural markets, we've seen digital marketing giving us a very good ROI. And that has in turn helped us get a lot more footfalls at our stores. And because of the marketing offers and bill busters that we run at the store, we've been able to increase our ABVs. So each customer that is coming to our store, they're spending more. And obviously, that I just mentioned that it's all about product assortment and our markup of 55%. And Indians love a bargain. So value fashion as a sector is doing, I think, better than premium apparel. And that trend is supposed to continue over the next few years.
Gentlemen, good to have you on board. Thank you so much for taking time out and